what you begin to comprehend is the knowingness of the will, as opposed to the speculation of the thought. Because the head brain works with the speculation of thought. It works in a duality. Most incarnations are in duality just to experience duality. About 86.7% are in duality to experience duality. And there are different levels of experiencing that. Besides, you've got to understand, 84,000 human lifetimes, not every one of us is at the same level of existence. And that does not mean that those of us that are at a more advanced level are better or more important. It's not that at all. So we have to be able to get this information out without people feeling like they're superior. We're not superior to the people that are killing each other in other parts of the world. We're not superior to the corporate tycoons that are destroying portions of the planet. We're not better than them. We're more advanced than them. They're doing what they're doing without knowing that it's incorrect. Our task is not to tell them that they're incorrect. Our task is to give them something that is more interesting, so that we will distract them from the incorrectness into the more interesting correctness. You know that 10,000 years ago, there were not sail makers. Why were there no sail makers 10,000 years ago? Nobody knew. Nobody knew the science of sailing. 10,000 years ago, we had not yet discovered that if you put woven cloth on a stick, you can catch wind. Once they found out that you could catch wind, it was a phenomenal thing. And some of the most important people in that world at that time were the sail makers. They were the Exxon Mobils of that era. Literally. The other most important people of that era were the map makers. People that could give you a map. Before the map makers, what was the limitation? The earth was? The earth was flat. You didn't need a map maker because you never lost sight of land. What did the human beings lack the understanding of when the earth was flat? What was the lack of understanding? Say it again. Gravity. Now, gravity to a person in the year of 800, what do you mean gravity? It's not, that's not something I understand. The yogis understood gravity 10,000 years ago. They understood the earth was round and everything else, but talking about the ones that hadn't, enlightened themselves. What force exists? Because there's far more forces. You don't know a force until you know a force, correct? And until you know that force, it doesn't exist, correct? Electricity didn't exist, right? If you had a cell phone 10,000 years ago, it was worthless. Because there was nothing to run it. So what forces don't exist, but do exist? And every force has an opposing force. So levity. Levity is a unifying force. Gravity is a bifurcating force. Levity is the opposite of gravity. So as gravity pulls you down, levity pulls you up. Where do you experience levity but you don't know it? in your thoughts and your emotions when you allow it. But because you don't understand levity, you tend to not have faith in levitational thoughts and levitational feelings. You have a big challenge in front of you, and a levitational feeling comes through you. It's going to work out. There's no way that it can't. And you go, I better not pay much attention to that because I might miss what is wrong. What is that, a heart brain or a head brain thought?
Head brain.
It's a head brain thought. The heart brain would approach that, it would go, it's going to work out. Heart is the will. Heart brain is the will. So if the heart attaches to the levity of it's going to work out, the heart wills it to work out. Because for every problem, there is a solution. For every challenge, there is a remedy. And if you don't have any problems, you have no solutions. And if you have no solutions, you have no progressions. And if you have no challenges, you have no remedies. And if you have no remedies, you have no opportunities. So all of these things are interwoven together. But the brain divides them up. Because the brain is a dualistic mechanism. And the brain tends to focus on the negative. Because it feels that if it focuses on the negative, it will protect you. And when the brain, the head brain, focuses on the negative, it relies upon memory of the past. Because it says, if I look out for these things that happened in the past, if I watch out for those things, then I can make sure that I don't get stuck in them in the future. Now the brain doesn't want to feel like it's useless, so it takes the past, reproduces it in the future, and tries to figure it out. And now you think, whoa, what would I be without my brain? Try happy? So what the heart does is quite different. So when you enter that heart will through the diaphragm, haven't you ever been in a posture and you're deep breathing and deep breathing and deep breathing and deep, and all of a sudden you inhale and you hold the end position of the posture and you feel this, yes? Mm-hmm. And doesn't your sensation in that moment make you feel like you are able to achieve anything? Mm-hmm. And if you could sustain that sensation long enough, you would engage the heart and it would guide you through all of the possible challenges, and you would achieve the end result. That's what you do in the dream time. I woke up on February 24th of this year with the thought, I have nothing new to sell at Solstice. And Guru Singh's booth always has something new. If it's a CD, if it's a little book, if it's a this or that. And I thought, oh, what about a CD? And the first thing that came to me was, no, I don't want to make another CD. But I had this manuscript that was not completed. So I called up a close friend, a person who used to be here, but he's moved so far away that it's hard for him, Kevin Hutchings. And I said, Kevin, you know, you use dog ear to produce your book, and there's also CreateSpace. How much time do you think you need? And he did some calculations and called me back and said, I think you've got about 35 days. I said, I've got 34 chapters, plus 3 administrative pieces, which was a foreword, a preface, and an introduction, plus a table of, you know, all this stuff. He said, wow, that's tight. But I woke up with this sensation that this was it. And you should have seen the people that worked on this project, me having to go through, and I'm not a fast reader. They say They say slow readers make good writers because we tend to fuss with words rather than skim across them. I had to go read that 316 pages 3 times. That's not an easy feat for Guru Singh. And then I had 3 or 4 other people that had to read it another 3 or 4 times, and they made all these corrections and all these suggestions and all this stuff, all of which I had to refuse. Just kidding. This project was not an effort. This project unfolded because the heart knew this project was done. Hummy hum brum hum. What is to be already is. Do you have something in your heart that you would love to achieve? If you give your heart wings rather than a shield of protection, that achievement is effortless.